Um, all right, I just kind of want to talk for a second about like partnership standards because this is something I've seen for a while that I think is very interesting. And I've seen this from both men and women. Especially in the black community, but I've seen it in a lot of communities now. It doesn't actually make sense to take anybody else's advice about a relationship. I'm talking about like a romantic partnership with like your significant other, right? Like whoever it is that you choose, or if you don't choose, like maybe I would highly encourage you to choose yourself. But people are watching all these TV shows, the Love Island, the dating ones, and they're trying to figure out like what to do, who's like what, and classify all of these people. And then there's the people who are playing the like. So I watched a couple of things. I watched Aber and Preach talk about the situation with Jonah Hill and the situation with Keke Palmer. And then I watched Candace Owens talk about it. I haven't watched like I Am a Low Host Take, but I am. And I just kind of wonder like I think all of the takes are very interesting. But and I think I'm glad that we have like a diversity of thought here, just so we don't have like one person who's like saying all this shit and everybody's like, okay, this is true. What is true for somebody else is just not true for like you. I also saw something by Keita Rose that I thought was interesting. Where she was basically talking about how like if you are a baddie and you go out dressed like a baddie, okay, and then other men react to you like you're a baddie, that's not really uncommon, and it's not, that shouldn't be surprising, right? Because like the other thing I will say, which is very strange, like to one person, she who is a baddie is actually not. Like there's so many women who I feel like I hear men, especially men in the black community, talk about how attractive they are, and I look at the women and I'll be like, I'm not seeing it. And on both sides, we could all point to multiple examples of men and women who would agree with you and agree with me. Like, here's a perfect example: Sweetie. I think that Sweetie is very unattractive, and I think a lot of the shit she does even makes her uglier. That's just my personal opinion, though. Like, you do not have to feel that way. You can be on the other side of the fence and being like, Sweetie is very pretty. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever a baddie is, like, to some people, it's just not to others. And that's why, that's one thing that's very important here. Like, I think that the text messages that I saw from Jonah Hill, I don't think are toxic either. But I do think if you watch Abba and Preach's video, he was talking about boundaries and kind of the limitations of the boundaries. Like, the boundaries, especially like when you're, I think the therapist made a really good point. He was trying to throw out these therapy terms and use them in a way like he was preventing her from doing something that was harming him, when what he was actually saying is like, behavior that you've already been demonstrating is like hurtful to me, which is not really a boundary, because the things that he's calling out that she was doing, posting these pictures, going these places, hanging out with these people, he's saying that these things are a problem because like he has just now, like, he was in one particular space and then he had some personal growth and now he has changed and he wants her to change. And now, so he's not setting a boundary, like, um setting a boundary is almost just communicating with someone else how you would like to be treated so that like they don't do that activity. But in this case, she's been doing the activity and it's him who has now like realized that he doesn't like the activity that she's been doing. But to even go further than that, like, um I think the text messages that she um releases, they just say more about how those two people are not compatible, but neither one of those people are wrong. I don't, yeah, I'm actually confused how this is a story as well, because like whoever Jonah Hill is with now, it seems like he's in a much better place. Like he just had a baby with this person. They're doing fine. Like, I mean, I don't actually know why she's releasing these text messages. It could be that she's like, you know, she needs to process some stuff about how the relationship ended. That's a real thing that really happens, and there's way healthier ways to do that, which is surprising because this person seems to have already had access to therapy. But there is something I wanted to point out that I heard Jonah Hill say, which I think is like, well, I didn't I read it in the text message, right? So he says, I don't want you to hang out with people who are in like unstable places. Um, women who are in unstable, I don't want you to have friendships with women who are in unstable places, because something else, right? And I think that like, I don't know, I feel like that right there is the reason that I feel like I wanted to create this space, and why I think online spaces are important, because like, on one hand, I think it's useful if you personally think that like, there is someone in your life who is like needy, and that you want to separate yourself from their like whatever they're going through. On another hand, like, there's going to be a time in your life when you're going to be needy, and would you want that person to abandon you, which is basically what he's suggesting, like abandoned all people who are unstable. And it's very strange to have all these people who are not like therapists basically everybody's like throwing out mental health terms without kind of like understanding how to apply them. And then they're also like doing a lot of like dehumanization sort of things, like people are speaking as though they themselves are like not going through a rough patch. And I think that that's one of the very interesting things about both of these situations, like Keke Palmer and Jonah Hill. Like, relationship, the human experience is very complicated. Like, it is, there are ups and downs. There's going to be people who agree with you and people who disagree with you every day, at every turn, all the time. And the little moments of happy that you are able to get are typically when there's like a small group of people who are like on your side for like one particular cause. It's just that like right now we have some extreme examples of that with like celebrities who have like mega fandom, like Harry Styles, 21 Savage, Drake, Taylor Swift, Beyonce. There's just so many people who are so supportive of them in so many ways. But when you really think about it, those people's success is wonderful, but it's, I think a lot of it has to do with like the, almost like the not, I don't know if this is the right word for this, but like the dehumanization of the fans and the audience, and the almost like magic nature of the celebrities to them. Like, I think that my life is more important than anyone else's. So like, every day I work toward improving my own life first. I do hope that like other people get what they want and that their lives turn out well, but like, I hope mine turns out well first. Like, my goals and my dreams come first. Like, expressing myself comes first. That was one of the biggest things I learned about like grabbing the mic, right? And starting to like express my personal feelings about shit. I know that like all of my opinions are unpopular. I don't script these videos because I feel like I'm already living in the real world, which is something I don't see a lot of people doing. So I can just talk about the shit that I see in the actual real world. And it's like, there's a lot of shit happening because like everybody else seems to be living in a fantasy, in a very strange like fantasy, right? There's whoever's on the television, right, that you guys are watching. Well, some of you guys are watching. And then there's like the rest of us who are like living in society where we're like coming across new people and different people and experiencing things. And like, you know, I don't know. I also will go back to this though. Like, if you are living in this society and you honestly don't see the problems, like there's you have issues, because like this society has a lot of problems. And when I say this society, I mean like being alive in the world right now. Like, if you're a person who's found this channel and you're like, yes, I will believe in the development of Africa. Well, Africa has a lot of problems. If you're a person who's like, oh, well, I'm an American and Like things aren't going like all that well in America right now. Like we everywhere, like the war in Ukraine. There's a lot of shit happening, and it's really easy to be unaware, right? To just like turn off the television and pretend like all these problems don't exist, but they do. They do. And so just because you don't talk about them, the problems don't go away. And some of the things that I think are really funny, especially for black men right now, and really it's hitting the black community. And I kind of wrote about this for a minute, and then I feel like I couldn't communicate effectively what I was trying to say, so I've been rewriting it. But the big idea here is like, I think actually Chrissy did a whole live where she talked about it, and I'll probably like, when I have some time, maybe tomorrow, like watch it and take some notes to unpack it in more depth. But the big idea is this, like, there hasn't really been like this like traditional black family to pull from, to like idolize. And so to have so many people like critique black women as though like black women are the start and stop and fall of this like magical thing that was never a thing is so weird. It's so weird. Especially when like I don't want to say it's all men, because I know for a fact that it isn't. There are like some good men in society, but one thing I continue to see happening is like when good men stay silent for a very long time about issues that they know exist and they don't do anything about it, that's how society becomes the way that it is now. A lot of people believe that by just almost like watching the chaos and like not saying anything about it and just kind of letting it purr, letting it boil, right? It has bubbled over. Like where we are in society right now is it bubbling over, and it is a problem. And like I don't even see how people could believe that it's something else. Like it's a problem, and it's a problem now, and like somebody has to do something about it. Like something has to be done. Something's got to give. And I feel like maybe for the first time in society, like that weight has fallen on a lot more people than are willing to like own that responsibility. Especially when people are having to explain things to like, everyone keeps saying this, the children. What about the children? And I would just kind of wonder like, what about the children? I Like I don't if you don't actually improve the society, then the children are going to experience the same issues that we're experiencing now, and we are experiencing a lot of issues. Um I'm not sure. Um yeah, I guess the thoughts, they're just growing and bubbling, and I really I have the thoughts. And yeah, I don't know. It's been weird. It's getting weirder. Uh Man. Hmm. Hmm. I wonder what you guys think. Maybe comment below.